All right, you guys. Welcome in. Can you hear me okay? Welcome to a GateWorld live stream. I'm new to all this. I'm new to running OBS, so hopefully we've got it fixed and set up. I've got my audio on. It shows that I should be heard. I've got some background music going. You guys hear the background music okay? Okay, let me know if anything is too loud or too quiet. I got a whole bunch of stuff to show off. I have a whole table of models here from Master Replicas. But we're just going to do a casual hangout here. I've been wanting to do this for a while. Some of you guys were here when I chatted up with David Reed from Dial the Gate here a couple of months ago when he was getting ready to start his new season, and I thought, yeah, there's guests that we can bring in. I'd love to hear your suggestions for people that we can have on as guests to talk about Stargate, to talk about specific topics, all that stuff. And someday I'd love to get back to doing the GateWorld podcast on a regular basis. There's just... David's really busy right now. Adam is really busy right now. And there's not a lot to talk about, so I haven't pulled the trigger on any kind of regular weekly podcast. But I want to do more live streams, and I want to kind of continue to build and support our community here on YouTube. So, you know, I watch some live streamers now and then. I watch some video game live streamers, and I thought I could do that. We could just hang out. We could just talk about Stargate with the chat. So maybe if some of you get super brave, at some point in the future, I'll even bring you on. I can just have you zoom in, and we can do live chat with the live chat. Big thanks to Anthony Rawling and Jeremy Heiner for moderating for us today. You might know their names from Dial the Gate. They're going to help us out here. Really appreciate you guys. We've got a crowd coming in. No, don't close the stream. Okay, we're at 35 folks right now. Welcome to, I gotta pronounce your names. Istuihos. That's not right. I apologize, but welcome. I'm glad you're here. Welcome Pac-Man D3. Welcome Lee and Sorry. Welcome, Martin Zokor is here. Outstanding. Harrimore, glad to see you guys all here. Now, we were going to do this a little bit earlier in the afternoon until I found out that David had a live stream. So be sure to check out Dial the Gate for the latest conversation with Brian Markinson, who played Lotan on Stargate SG-1 in the episode Scorched Earth. Looking forward to going back and watching that one. He also had Martin Wood on recently, longtime director of SG-1. But the other reason that our live stream got bumped today is my family went camping, so I was getting them out the door, and now it's raining cats and dogs. So there's a lull right now, but I'm also watching my phone to see if they text any emergencies or tell me that they're just going to pack up and come home. They're tent camping in the middle of a rainstorm. So that'll be fun. We've got some fun stuff to talk about here. But again, this is a casual hangout. I don't have any agenda other than we're going to unbox the new model from Master Replicas. I got an early preview of Ra's Pyramid ship. I haven't opened it yet. The box is sitting right there waiting for us. But this one is shipping in July. So those of you who pre-ordered it will hopefully start seeing it by the end of next month. But we've got a sneak preview here. Thanks to Master Replicas. They sent me a review copy, so we'll get some footage here of an unboxing, and I'll do a review video at some point. But this is not a sponsored stream. They're not paying me. They're not asking to see the review in advance or anything like that. All opinions are my own. But we're going to take a look at it here, and I figured, okay, so since we're doing our first live stream and we're going to focus on opening Ra's Pyramid, why not all the other models? Some of you guys I know are collectors like me, and you have some or all of these. But I figured we'll just go down the line and see what Eagle Moss and Master Replicas has released so far, and build up to the pyramid ship. I'll be curious to see you guys in the chat, which ones of these you have, which ones of these you want, which ones of these you like. We are on about a 10-second delay, So I'll just try and keep my eyes on the chat here. And Jeremy and Anthony will help me out. How you guys doing? What's going on? It's Friday. I'm not going to talk constantly. You might be able to tell at the end of the week my voice is starting to go. So I'm not going to talk constantly, but how are we doing? What do you want to talk about before we get started looking at all the models? We should talk about what Master Replicas has not announced yet that we know or are pretty sure they're doing for the Stargate model line. Seeing some talk in here about Destiny, and I did see somebody at the top of the chat just before we went live said Destiny Stargate has just been announced. Let's start here. Let's go over to masterreplicas.com. This was a good timing because I was already planning to do the live stream, and they announced a new model, which you can pre-order today. Where's the Stargate? Stargate, come back. All right, browse brands. Okay, these are some of the models we're going to be looking at. Most of them are still currently available if you don't have them yet. These are going to range, as you can see, $55 to $65 for one of these is pretty typical right now. But here's the new one. This was just announced today, and I'm going to post a news story on GateWorld for the SGU Destiny Gate. I think it looks really good. We're going to look at the other two Stargates. We're going to look at the Milky Way Gate, which if you watch the review on the channel, you'll know. The Milky Way Gate I thought was a good first effort, but they learned a lot. They really learned a lot and made the second gate better. So the Pegasus Stargate is really outstanding. I'm hoping that that holds here. And it looks like it is, because it's that center piece, right? In between the front and the back of the gate, there's like a stone rough-hewn core, and it looks like that's going to be on the Destiny Gate as well. What do you guys think? Liam, are they going to go out of stock? I think if you pre-order it, you'll be able to get one for sure. They're not going to go out of stock on the pre-orders. I think they take pre-orders several weeks in advance to know how many to make. And then once they're in stock, once you know they've done a production run and they're in stock, then at some point they could go out of stock. But if you get in on the pre-order, should be fine. Yeah, this looks really, really good. This is, I mean, we kind of nitpick, and I posted my review of the Beliskner, the Asgard mothership today, and I nitpick a little bit. I love the model, but I nitpick a little bit. One of the things that we all have to keep in mind, I think, is these are $60 models. These are not $150 or $200 models. So there's some things that I think Master Replicas can keep getting better at, but there's also, you know, they're making compromises because of the price point. They got to be able to hit the price point to make them available, right? Make them accessible to those of us who have $65 to spend, but not $200. The one thing I was looking at is on the close-up on the model here, you can kind of see between the chevrons, there's like these, like copper coiling for energy transfer. I don't remember that on the actual Stargate. Is this on the gate? Let's see. Let's go over to GateWorld, because I got pictures of the gate from the actual set. make sure you guys can see this. Yeah, Martin says the only issue I have is with the base, and I have to agree. I understand why they do the big, fat, chunky bases like this, but I wish they were a little smaller. I'll show off Martin's base, Martin McLean's base that he made, which is on the wall behind me. I'll show that off when we look at the gates. But let's see. If you go into the gallery and Stargate Universe Season 1 and promotional photos, all the way at the bottom. I don't know if you guys remember in 2009 when SGU was getting ready to premiere, Microsoft did a partnership and had this virtual studio tour, right, virtual Destiny tour, where you could walk through the ship using Microsoft's Silverlight program. So it was a ton of high-res photos that they took on the set, and then they used the software to stitch it together to make it a virtual walkthrough. I went through the day it was launched and took a whole bunch of screen captures, which is where these are from. So these are from set photos. So I want to see if this piping, this kind of copper, is actually on here. Yeah, I guess it is. It's not really copper colored, but it does have that sort of, you know, crude connection between the chevrons. I think it looks cool. I don't know about the copper color. I mean, in terms of, you know, absolute screen accuracy. Okay, so front of the gate. Yep, chevrons look beautiful, right? Nice detail. The white jewels on the chevron look a little bit raised relative to the other gates, which I think is right. And then here's the front-on shot. These symbols, if somebody's really excited about screen matching the symbols, the dots and dashes, feel free. And this would be the back of the gate. Now we have shots of the back of the other Stargates from SG-1 and Atlantis. I don't know offhand if we ever see the back of a Destiny Stargate. I'm trying to think of shots. Maybe in something like Common Descent when the gate gets shot by the drone. Maybe there's a reverse shot. And the one thing I'm never sure about on these back shots is, should the chevron be there? Should the jewel on the chevron be visible on the back of the gate? I don't know. What do you guys think? All right, let's shift gears. So if you want to get one of these, the pre-order's up right now. These are shipping in October. I just pre-ordered mine. I'm also going to give Master Replicas props because they figured out how to cut the cost of their shipping a little bit. These were a little bit painful to order, right when some of the older ones were maybe $45 to then turn around and pay $15 for shipping to the US. That was a little painful. I paid $15 every single one of these I bought. I paid $15 for shipping, and now it's down to 10. My shipping to the U.S. for the Destiny Gate is $9.99. I was pleasantly surprised. All right, let's see. Okay, should we look at some models? make some space here. I have my top-down camera already. I'm going to apologize. It's not high resolution. Liam, you paid $45 Australian for shipping to Australia. That sounds painful. Okay, here's what we're looking at. There's your very first Stargate model from Eagle Moss. That is the Daedalus. This one's been around a few years. And then Eagle Moss produced one of my favorites. One of my favorites is the GateWorld mothership. There is your Hatak. Iconic Stargate SG-1 ship. This one looks really great. Okay, that was number 2. And then, before they went out of business, Eagle Moss did a Death Glider. Looks great. Again, it's another really iconic Stargate ship. And yes, I have been tempted on many occasions to fly through my backyard, reenacting scenes from the movie. You know, the one thing here that I wish that Eagle Moss would have done is make the canopy transparent and put a little Jaffa pilot in there. It's not. There's nobody home. I think. Wait, is there? If you look at it with a light behind it, there is a little console. You can see a seat and a little control console. But I don't think there's a pilot in there. Canopy's a little too dark. But yeah, I like this one. It's not my favorite because it's kind of a lot of the same thing, right? It's for the size it is, there's not a lot of detail. I almost wish, I mean, look at the comparison here. I almost wish that the Death Glider would have been, you know, 30% smaller. Then the level of detail I think would be suitable. But I don't know, it strikes me as kind of flat. Okay, that was number 3. And then you will know Eagle Moss went out of business. The company went bankrupt. And a lot of us for a while were thinking, well, that was it. The Stargate license must be cursed. That's all we're going to get. It drove the company out of business. But no, Master Replicas stepped in, and the first thing that they did was they acquired all of Eagle Moss's existing stock, everything that they had sitting in a warehouse, which included the next Stargate model, which had not been released and had not been announced yet. And that was the F-302. Fighter Interceptor. So this is an Earth ship, of course. Introduced in Season 6 of SG-1. Started out as the X-302 in the Season 6 premiere Redemption. 302s play a huge part in the show, all through the later years, especially the Battle of Antarctica in Lost City. This is one of my favorite models. We got some cool ones coming up, but this is still one of my all-time favorites. Eagle Moss did this, and they were sitting in boxes in the warehouse. The thing that I like best about this, right? It's shiny. It's got the nice gloss compared to the Death Glider. It's more of a human-made steel. But what I love most about the 302 is the weight of it. It's nice and weighted. It's not heavy, but it's clearly, the materials that they use feel a little more metallic. So this just feels like plastic, right? All these. They're on the light side. Daedalus has a good heft. Now this is not one of the originals that Eagle Moss made. This is when Master Replicas eventually then picked up the license to Stargate to produce new models. They went back and they did another run. So Daedalus for a while was really hard to get. It was, I want to say over $200 on eBay. I saw listings for this and I thought, well, I'm never going to get one. I had asked Eagle Moss to send me a review unit, and so I didn't buy it because they said they were going to send me one. And apparently they had way more orders than they were prepared to have, what they were prepared to fulfill, because they didn't send me one, it never showed up, and then it went out of stock, and then the company went bankrupt. So I was stuck without Daedalus until Master Replicas came along and did another run of them. That's where this one came from. And they've also done, of course, they've done other battle cruisers in the Earth line, right? The BC-304 line that look exactly like this. All the Earth ships, you'll know from the shows, look exactly the same, except the name is different on the side. So there's Daedalus. Master Replicas has done the George Hammond, which looks exactly like this, but says Hammond on the side. Supposedly they're willing and interested in doing the other ships, right? Korolev, the Apollo, the Sun Tzu, which we never saw on screen. But they've got to sell well enough. The Hammond was a Collectors Club exclusive, so I don't have it. Martin, do you have a Collectors Club Hammond? And the other one I have is Odyssey. I do have the Odyssey, but it's boxed up, and it looks exactly like this, except it says Odyssey on the side. Hey, David's here. You said you were going to sleep. Raj Luthra, since Earth Atari based the 302s on the gliders, imagine if they had the cockpit and engines in the opposite direction. Cockpit and the engines in the opposite direction. I don't know what you mean. Okay, so the F302 is beautiful. Highly recommended. If you're not sure which one you're going to get and you are partial to the Earth ships, this is the one to get. Now, the one not to get, if you have been watching GateWorld's review videos of some of these, you already know what I'm going to say. Prometheus. What is the deal with Prometheus? Other than the fact that the design is, right, okay, so this is introduced in the middle of season 6 in the episode Prometheus, and followed up by Unnatural Selection. It's Earth's first deep space carrier. The first big capital ship made by Earth. So it's supposed to look bulky, inelegant. That's the word, inelegant. It's supposed to look like it looks. Compare it with the Earth's second generation 304. Again, the 304 looks industrial, right? This is definitely Earth-made, but it's been refined quite a bit since Prometheus. Which looks, in the words of my friend David Reed, like an office building in space. Yeah, it does. It looks like an office building in space. It's inelegant. It's supposed to look inelegant, right? This is Earth's first try. So what's wrong with the model? It feels cheap. It feels really flimsy. It's much lighter than the others. It feels like a plastic toy, right? So if you spent $19.99 at Walmart for this, you'd think you got a pretty good deal. But if you spent $50 or $60 plus $15 shipping, this one's just a disappointment. Now the detail is here. I do like the detail. It's clearly not as much as the other models, but there's an attempt, right? There's the kind of digital camo look. I hesitate to even call it a paint job. It's light, it's too light, it's flimsy, it's flat, and if you look really closely, let's see. You can see the seam right there, where the two pieces of this plastic were glued together. You can see the seam running all the way down. And then here, where they meet in the front, it's uneven. And I can get my fingernail on that, where the two pieces come together. So, swing and a miss. Now, what Master Replicas has told me is that this was right there. They've owned up to it. First of all, they're not just passing the buck. They've owned up to the fact that this one was a miss. But the explanation is they were in the process of acquiring the license from MGM and acquiring all of Eaglemoss's assets and going through everything. And Prometheus was on the drawing board to be the next model front. Can I hold this by its head and not have it break? This was on the docket for Eaglemoss to be their next model. And so Master Replicas was spooling up a new business, basically, to take all this over, including manufacturing partners and shipping partners and all that. So they took what they had from Eaglemoss and got it done and got it out the door. So this was their first attempt. They didn't design it. And I don't know if they ended up switching partners or going back to their manufacturer and changing the materials that they would use for future models. Whatever it is, given the number of models, the quality of models that have followed this, they really learned their lesson. So it's okay if you just put it on the shelf and don't hold it, right? You'll see in some of my videos, it just sits back here. If it's just sitting on the shelf and you're not examining it too closely, it's perfectly adequate. It's also one of the less expensive models. But there's always the hope that one day they might come back around and redo it, because I think it does deserve a better treatment. Not my favorite ship, not a beautiful ship by any stretch, but it would be worth redoing. Now, how many years is it going to take before you're willing to convince me to spend another $50 on it? Liam asks, where did you get Prometheus from? They were sold, Master Replicas, again, right after they took over the license. They did make them and sell them, so they were available for pre-order and then on the website for a while. But they're not anymore, are they? Let's go back and look. There's a lot of models on here. Most of what we're looking at today is available for you to order right now. There's stock on these. A lot of these went out of stock and then came back. But you'll notice Prometheus is not on here because they haven't spent the money to remake it yet. Yep, pretty much everything else. Okay, let's move on. Now you're gonna stump me because I'm trying to do these in order. The Stargate must have been next, right? Well, they did the Hammond for the Collectors Club. They did the Hammond, and they did the Odyssey, which again, I have in a box somewhere in this room, but it looks exactly the same as Daedalus. So next, I guess, would be the Stargates. Let's look back here. All right. This, of course, is the Milky Way Stargate from Stargate SG-1. Reviewed this one pretty recently on the channel. You can find it here on the channel or on the website. But let's take a look. How big is it? Yeah, it's that big. This is what, a 9.5, 9 3/4 diameter. And I think the gate looks good. You'll see my gripes if you watch the video review. But this is a company that did ship models for a very long time. Right, so Master Replicas picked up where Eagle Moss left off. They had some of the same people, including Ben Robinson, the product line manager. If you haven't watched David's interview with Ben Robinson on Dial the Gate, I highly commend that to you. I learned a lot just by watching Ben talk about the line. One of the more interesting things that I learned is how important lighting is for these models. And when you're trying to capture something that's screen accurate, it's not just the color of materials that you choose. Lighting is everything. It can really make things look different. But Eagle Moss, Ben was at Eagle Moss before Master Replicas, and they were talking about how to do a Stargate, right? They picked up the license. Obviously, we're going to do ships, but how do we do a Stargate? Because that's what Stargate fans are going to want. They had experience doing hundreds of models for Star Trek. They had over 400 Star Trek ships, which, by the way, I have a whole shelf of Star Trek ships. If you want to mix your franchises, right? We can do this. We can make this happen. I like the size of these, the little Master Replica ships. So I got a whole bunch of these when they picked up Eagle Moss's stock and were selling them off. I got a whole bunch. Basically one of everything of Classic Enterprise, A through F, and Voyager, and Reliant, and a couple of others. Excelsior. So I really like these. They were not sure how to do a Stargate that they could do cost-effective, that people would want to spend money for, right? That would give enough value for what they had to charge for it. But Master Replicas figured it out. I am really happy with this. For reasons I go to in the video, I'm even happier with the next one, which is the Pegasus Gate. So, what you'll notice about this one, if you look at it closely, I think the paint job is good. Right, again, for the price point, paint job is great. The detail is great. They're using the original CG models provided by MGM. So, screen accuracy, not a concern at all. Back of the Stargate. Again, back of the Stargate's a little harder to do. The chevrons are visible on the back of the Stargate, but I'm not sure if they're supposed to be red. I think the shots that I've scrutinized, you can see the chevron shape, but not the jewel on the back of the gate. But the short version is the front looks great, the back looks great, and the gate is way too thin. The middle is not even there. So if you see, especially when they, later seasons, when we saw the Stargate from different angles, you'll know that there's more in the middle. There's a solid core in the middle. And this is just not enough, right? They did a little bit. They did a little bit where the front and the back come together, but it's just not, it needs to be double this. So it looks great on display, but when you're handling it, right, it looks like one of those Frisbees, one of the Frisbees with the hole in the middle. And then they did the Pegasus gate, which we'll look at in a second. Trev, you've just cut 7 years off Voyager's journey. Yeah. Voyager just needed some Ori space gates to travel from galaxy to galaxy. That would be too far, wouldn't it? For Voyager. They're in the same galaxy. Top 2 ships I want are Destiny and the White Star. Yeah. We just started watching Babylon 5 with my kids, and we're 10 episodes in, and they're like, yeah, it's a good show, and we're like falling all over ourselves with the, the meaning and the signs and portents of what's to come. I would love a White Star model. I would love the one that Master Replicas has done that I don't have is the Rocinante from The Expanse. I would love to get that. Trev, who's a member at GateWorld here. Trev, thanks for your 2 months. Says that's actually good value for the gate. Yeah, this gate for, what are they asking for this right now? $49.99. This gate for $50 with a display stand is a good value. I definitely recommend it. I think that they improved the gate as they were going along. We'll talk about the other gates. But this looks great. Again, it's a great display piece. You can see in my recent videos, I have it on display. Now, what we got for the display was one of these, right? Big, bulky stands. This is the Atlantis one. I didn't want to use the SG-1 because I got something better, so it's all boxed up. But I'll show you what I got from our good buddy Martin McLean, SGA Gate Builder. Gave me this custom-made, 3D printed, painted, stuccoed. I don't know what the artistic process is, but this is all textured, right? Painted to look like sandstone for an off-world location. A couple of sprigs of grass there. And it's lower profile, right? It makes this look like a diorama. It's lower profile. I just love it. And he's done another one for the Atlantis gate that looks like the Atlantis gate room floor. I can't wait to get my hands on it. Thank you again, Martin. Okay, that's the Pegasus gate is next. That's the Milky Way gate. There we go. Pegasus Stargate has the center. So it's thicker, it's heavier, it's got that center core just like it's supposed to. And I don't know if you can see So the Milky Way gate is relatively flat, right? So there's some texture. The inner track is sunken in, and the chevrons are raised, right? And you can feel each one of those constellation symbols, but otherwise it's relatively flat. Not so with the Atlantis gate. Because it's so thick on the edge, look at that. It's that thickness, and then the center tapers in, and it's actually rather thin at the center, where the event horizon forms, which again is exactly right. So it's I don't even know if you can tell. It's tapered in. It starts wide and then goes down narrow. Those kinds of little details really show that they're trying to get it right, that they're learning from their mistakes, they're making the next model better than the last one. I'm going to put this in my top 5 or top 3 models. The Atlantis gate is outstanding. It's really spectacular. Now you might look at the coloring. I was looking at the coloring here, this sort of pale blue behind the constellations, and thinking, well, it looks good, but I don't know, is that screen accurate? That color, and also the bright blue of the chevrons. Is the color quite right? And this is where David's conversation with Ben was really enlightening. The colors on this Stargate are going to look different depending on the lighting conditions. So I've got my overhead lights on right now so that you can see the detail on this. But if we were not in a bright environment, and this is sitting on the shelf with normal natural shadows being cast on it, it looks perfect. It doesn't have this sort of flat blue background with the sort of hyper blue chevrons. That's only because of the bright studio lights that are hitting it right now. Yes, and thank you. If you're interested in any of Gate Builder's work, including this display, Martin just launched his own website. He's got an Etsy shop, but he just launched his own website at Jeremy put the link in the chat. Gatebuilder.tech. So check that out for sure. He does other 3D printed pieces. He did another spectacular project for me that I will show off in a different live stream. But yeah, the Atlantis gate. Here again is the base. So, sits right in the base. It looks good. Looks good enough. If you're just, this is on a shelf on display somewhere. I want to get something smaller where the base has a lower profile. And for my money, this is sitting a little too deep. Right, I think it should be more like there. I don't know, you don't want it so shallow that people who are not walking through the dead center are going to trip on the edge of the gate. But as far as the models that we're looking at today, the models that Master Replicas has put out so far, this again is top 3 for me. Now I'm trying to think, what are my other top picks? We're going to look at the new ones here coming up. Jaren, we haven't gotten to Ra's Pyramid yet. We're kind of doing the historical tour of what Master Replicas has put out so far, and we're going to open the pyramid ship here in just a minute. Liam says this base needs velvet in the slot. That would be nice if it was a little softer landing, because yeah, I do hear, every time I put it in and take it out, I hear the plastic and the polystone scraping. Kind of like a Nintendo Switch. Just be really careful when you're putting it in the dock. Liam also says his tips forward. Yeah, it does. It's got, right, because of this gap. The gap is slightly wider than the widest part of the gate. So it's got that much give. And I don't mind at all. I think, all right, depending on the height that you're displaying it at, I like having it pushed back so that it's ever so slightly at an angle. I think it looks good for the display. I tend to display these about eye height. But if it was up on a tall bookshelf, I don't know, maybe I'm letting it lean forward a little bit. But it does have that give. Okay, let's look at the new stuff. So these have been out for a while. All the other models that we've looked at so far. The Beliskner is new. This is Thor's mothership. And my full review of this one just went up this morning. So look for it here on the channel. Maybe when we're done here with the stream, you can go watch a little 10-minute review of this. I love this thing. This is one of the best models that Master Replicas has done for sure. Now, it's not perfect. I complained about the color in the video, that the color was a little too dark. And then I started cutting the video together with footage from the show. And no, it's about right. The Beliskner itself, of course, is destroyed in Season 3, in Nemesis. But the other Hammerhead ships of the same class that we see later in the show, like in the Season 4 premiere Small Victories, it is dark, especially because in Small Victories, I used this shot in the video review. Small Victories, you'll remember Sam goes with Thor to the Asgard homeworld. She sees the O'Neill, which is their shiny new battleship, and it is shiny. It's like silver and glints in the sun, and it's beautiful. It's parked next to this guy in the dock on the planet, and so they're in sunlight, not in outer space. And you can see, yeah, this really is quite dark under the right lighting conditions, like sunlight on a planet. The model that was used on the show is quite dark. So I'm going to stop complaining that this is quite as dark as it is. But what do you guys think? Anybody have one of these yet? Yeah, Jeremy says, give us the O'Neill class. When I was I was peppering Master Replicas with questions about this model, they did say that they're working on it. So it has not been announced yet, but dollars to donuts, we're gonna get an O'Neill Asgard mothership. These are fragile, as I go into in the video. When I handle this thing, I have to be very careful to not accidentally bump them, because they are, just little pieces of plastic. We've got the neutrino ion generators along the bottom, which matches the show. You can see those in action in episodes like Nemesis. I think it looks great. This again is, I fell in love with SG-1 really in seasons 2 and 3. It became my show. And so this ship is, again, one that I've been looking forward to for so long. Okay, but let's keep moving. Finally, Oh, look at that guy. I've shot my review for the puddle jumper, but I haven't edited it yet, so this will be the next Master Replicas review that shows up on the channel. The Stargate Atlantis puddle jumper. Again, I think it looks really good. Bottom has some detailing. I wish this gray was less kind of a flat plastic gray. It looks like one of the old Punch-Out Snap model kits. Like I used to collect G.I. Joe as a kid, and right, you'd have to punch out all the pieces and snap them into place. That's what this reminds me of. But it's on the bottom. A lot of people have been waiting for this ship and trying different iterations. 3D printing, trying to come up with something. Now we have something officially licensed. And again, my lighting here is not, the angle's not set up so that you can quite see into the cockpit. But there is a cockpit in there. The screen is just translucent enough. With a direct light, you can look in there and see. There's a couple of seats and a rear bulkhead, which is a nice little touch, right? They don't have to do that. They could just make this a solid piece of plastic. But it's a nice little detail. No, the rear does not open. Sorry. I wish it did. This one is a challenge for modelers, in part because the TV show used multiple CG models. Atlantis used, I believe, 3 different VFX houses. And they all, I guess they must have built their own assets, because there are shots that you can find throughout the show where jumpers look a little bit different from each other. The space gates also look a little bit different from each other. That's why you can find some shots in Atlantis with space gates that have 8 chevrons. I don't think that they were intended to have 8 chevrons, but that's one of the VFX houses happened to have a model. So this looks great. The drive pods, this is all fixed, right? The drive pods in the out position. Master Replicas tells me that if this sells well, if there's demand out there from Atlantis fans, they do want to make a version that's closed, with the drive pods in the closed position. So hopefully that happens soon. I'm really pleased with this model. I was a little nervous. Okay, honesty time here. We get the preview pictures from Master Replicas, right? We get their studio photos that they release with the pre-orders. And when I first saw the pre-order photos for the puddle jumper, I was a little nervous. I didn't think it looked very good. Especially the paint job, the shades of green, and especially this kind of rough and rusty border around the front viewport, the front windscreen. In the photos, it just looked off to me. Let me find them and I'll show you real quick. So let's go back here. Let's go back to the website. See what's on right now. So here's what I mean. This is what they released. And I don't know if it's the lighting or the angle. That doesn't look particularly good to me. Particularly around the windscreen. It looks, I don't know, messy. Like the colors are just slightly the wrong shade. But I'm happy to report that in person, in my hands, it looks so much better. The coloring is right. Again, lighting is everything here. And here, even under my studio lights, it looks a little flat. But this looks much better in person. I'm really pleased with how this turned out. I think it looks better than the photos that they're using to sell it. How about that? So there it is. Working on the review. And you'll see in the review the real complaint, I think the biggest issue with the puddle jumper model is not the model itself, but the stand. So Master Replicas stands are, some of them are better than others, right? So they all come like this. It's a black plastic oval with some anti-skid felt on the bottom. That's great. And a little plastic piece with a plug. Plug's right in there, right? And these are all custom made depending on the model. So it won't go in. It goes in that way. So these are all custom for the model, right? Here's the Beliskner. It's designed to hold this specific model in this specific way. How about the puddle jumper? Oops. Puddle jumper stand is completely flat. On the sides, down the middle, it's just a flat piece of plastic. It's just an I-beam. So the result is your jumper sits on there and you better not touch it. Because right, if you get it on there fine and it's on display somewhere that doesn't get jostled a lot, like on a bookshelf where if you walk past it, it moves a little bit, this is going to fall off. It's slippy and slidey. So I think what I'm going to do is get some little rubber nubs and just put them on the corners just so that it's a little anti-skid. Because yeah, this stand is the least that they could do. I don't know how else to do it, but maybe you put little fingers on top that would fit inside in this inner groove, so that at least it wouldn't readily slide around. But I guess it works. I'm glad that they didn't do the prongs with the arms that reach up and clip onto the back here, because of course the part that it could grab onto in the center of the drive pods is very thin. That is thin plastic. Okay, I'm getting an error message from OBS. Are we still online? Okay, check. OBS crashed and restarted, so are we back online? Okay. That was good. OBS fixed itself. Okay, so this is what we have. We have all the models. Did I forget anything? Other than Odyssey, which I'm not going to pull out of the box because it looks exactly like this one. Other than the Hammond, which I don't have. And it looks exactly like this one. Prometheus. Look at this. We got a whole desk full. What a time to be a Stargate fan. You guys can remember when we had none of this. Oh, and the gates. We talked about the Milky Way gate, we talked about the Pegasus gate, and we talked about the Destiny gate, which Master Replicas just announced this morning is now available for pre-order. So head over to their website if you want to pre-order the Destiny gate. That one's supposed to ship in October, so we'll get our hands on it and do a review here on the channel. Anything going on in the chat? We're moving towards the big show. We're going to unbox Ra's pyramid ship here in a second. But while I clean up my space here, anything going on in the chat? Anything you guys want to talk about? Master replicas or otherwise? Have I got any of the Blue Bricks sets? No. Blue Bricks is making officially licensed Stargate Lego compatible construction sets, and I don't have any of them because I'm not willing to pay shipping right now from Germany. It's, you know, these sets are $150 plus who knows how much to get it to me. I would love to get my hands on them, but in the meantime, I can recommend Martin Zokor's channel is Stargate Seed, S-E-E-D, here on YouTube. And he's been getting the models, he's been doing video content and sharing some of it with us on GateWorld. So over on our website at gateworld.net, you can find some of the Blue Bricks, quick little reviews from Martin. Check those out and check out Stargate Seed here on YouTube. What do they have? Now I want to know. Let's go back. And check out Blue Bricks for a hot second before we get to this pyramid. So they've been doing some cool stuff. Some of the littler pieces like the statues and the chevrons, and now they have miniature Stargates, which look really cool. This teeny tiny little Pegasus space gate with a couple of darts. I do want this. And then they've done some of the bigger sets. There's the 302. They've done a bunch of ships, right? They've done Wraith Cruiser, Prometheus, and Alkesh. And then they did, the big one is the Gate Room. For anybody who hasn't seen this yet, there's a whole playset here with the SGC embarkation room. This is the room where the teams embark from. With a little MALP and a little UAV launcher here. Looks awesome. Again, we've got a review on the website at gateworld.net, courtesy of Martin at Stargate Seed. Okay, move my keyboard back out of the way because this is a big box. Darren says, I really want an Atlantis City model. I just don't have anywhere to put it. I'm right there with you. I was thinking about this big guy that we're about to unbox, the pyramid ship, and where I'm going to display it. These shelves behind me are... the depth is less than the height of my phone, so it ain't going back there. The pyramid ship has a base of, I think, 12 inches square. So I was thinking about other big models, like how awesome would it be to get Atlantis from Master Replicas, to get a detailed full-size premium model of the city of Atlantis. That would be amazing. I think that one would be worth a couple $100. But I don't know where to display it. It seems like these bigger models need a thick bookcase or a tabletop, something like that. Okay, we've been going for an hour. I'm having fun looking at all my toys, and you all are being very patient with me. But let me grab the big box. Oof. I gotta get my chair out of the way so I can show you this thing. Oh. There is Ra's pyramid. And yeah, the first thing you'll notice is that the box is different than every other model Master Replicas has put out. And they do call this one a premium model. So we got a nice premium black box. The second thing you'll notice is that mine got damaged. Came out of the shipping carton this way, which is a bummer. Now, I didn't pay $150 for this. Again, Master Replicas provided this for review. So I'm not too hurt over it. But the box is so shiny and nice. Right? Nice Stargate design. It's a bummer that this came busted. Now, the corner's also dented a little. This is funny because I can't get my webcam, my overhead camera, far enough away that you can see the whole thing. That's how big this thing is. It's massive, and it's very heavy. Oh. It's very heavy. So they call this one a premium model. And unfortunately, the carton that it came in, the label was put on the box on the bottom, which meant that when it went through DHL shipping and showed up at my door, this box inside of the shipping carton was upside down. Now, the bottom of the shipping carton was not damaged. It had not been impacted anywhere. So what this says to me is this is the top of the pyramid. And because it is so heavy, and because the label was put on upside down and it was shipped upside down, that at some point the weight of the pyramid itself poked up and out through the box. So that's a bummer, because it's a really nice box. But let's get it open. Oof. My knife is for this tape on either side. My knife needs to be sharpened. All right. Yeah, this one's not going on the shelf. This one needs a tabletop display. This is hey, it's going to be a conversational piece in my home. When people come over to visit, they're going to see it on the coffee table or something, and we'll get to talk about it. All right, so there is styrofoam. Yep, styrofoam got punched right through. Hopefully the model is not damaged at all. We'll find out. Okay, we got lots of debris, little styrofoam pieces in here. Oh my gosh, I have to stand up. I need some leverage. This thing is so heavy. Oh. Oh, it is hollow. Well, not hollow, but... You might need to get a friend to hold this for you while you take the plastic bag off. It's hard to do both at the same time. Okay. Whew, I need a nap. Clean up on aisle 5. Okay. Lots of little debris. Oh my goodness, it's so heavy. Oh, you can see that, right? You're not going to make me hold it up to the camera. Oh. Yep. It's not hollow. It's just not, you know, flat on the bottom. If they filled all this in and just made it flat on the bottom, it would be even heavier. You would need to hire a moving crew to move this around your house. We've got 4 little rubber feet in the corners. That's good. So, give me a minute. Give me a minute. This thing is heavy. Guys like me have been complaining for years that we want heavier models. Right, I just did it in the Beliskner video. Because what they do is they use what Master Replicas calls it a polystone for parts of the ships, and then they mix it with plastic pieces. So some of it is like a ceramic and some of it is plastic. You'll see in the Beliskner video, I talked about the fact that the front of, you know, the hammerhead is the heaviest part of the ship. And then the back pieces are all plastic, right? This whole back curve and these 2 pieces that stick up, these are plastic. So the result is it feels imbalanced. I complained about the Prometheus being all plastic, feeling like a toy, like a $10, $15, $20 toy, because it's just plastic pieces glued together. It doesn't have any weight. So apparently, Master Replicas took that and made a model that is entirely, I don't even think it's polystone. I think it's like rock. It's like concrete or something. It is so solid. So it's not the polystone, I don't think. It's not the same polystone that they've been using in limited quantities in their other models. Maybe it is. Maybe that's just what it feels like when you use this much of it to cast a single piece. So let's measure it. And get some perspective on what we're dealing with here. Let's see. Here's Prometheus. That's how big it is. So the base is a little over 12 inches. Looks like 12 1/8. And that should be square. And then the height, or at least this angle, that's 10 inches on that diagonal. I can't get over how heavy this is. Oh, but let's look at it a little more close up with the styrofoam pieces, which are stuck. Yeah, Liam says, glad this model is heavy. If it was just plastic, I don't think there's enough here to justify a premium price. But it is not plastic. It feels like solid stone. It feels like it's all one cast piece. I don't know if it is. I don't know if they cast it in multiple segments and attach them. But I mean, you saw the underside. It looks like it's just one solid cast stone. Jeremy, thanks for being here. Appreciate you, man. Yeah, Jeremy says we need to weigh it. That would have been a good idea. I have a bathroom scale I can get, but I don't have a kitchen scale handy. Now I'm curious. See if a bathroom scale will work on my desktop. I was not anticipating live streaming my bathroom scale today, but I am curious how much this thing actually weighs. I don't know, because I have a middle crossbar here, I don't know if it'll actually weigh it correctly. $202. No, it's 20.2 pounds. 20 pounds. Yeah, we'll take a closer look at the detail here in a second. I'm gonna have to take my camera down. So it's 20 pounds, solid stone. Whew. Now half the stream is saying, this guy must be weak. It's only 20 pounds. Well, let me tell you, when you've been working with these, right? We've been doing crunches with these. This thing's heavy. 9.16 kilos. Thank you, Anthony. Okay, you want a closer look? Let's take a closer look. I'm gonna have to pull my overhead down. We can see some detail here. See if we can get it to autofocus. There we go. Okay, so obviously they didn't have any CG models from the feature film to make this. So what they did is they hired an artist to go through the movie and all the reference material that he could find and sculpt this thing from scratch. And the effort was certainly made to make it as screen accurate as possible. But yeah, all these etched hieroglyphs are hand done using the movie as reference. Looks cool. I wish that was an Eye of Ra in the middle. I don't know if that's screen accurate, but it seems like it ought to be. Okay, let's see if I can set this down so it doesn't wobble. Yeah, it looks pretty cool. Okay, first impressions other than the weight. Once again, we're dealing with an issue of coloring and lighting. And styrofoam in my keyboard. It looks, I don't know how it looks to you guys. In person, it looks, the coloring is almost, well, so it's like a reddish tan. I would almost call it peach. Which again, I think is not the color that you would pick for an alien pyramid ship. But under the right lighting, I have a feeling this is another case where it's going to work. I think under my direct studio lights, it's looking a little brighter than it ought to. This is a model that's really going to benefit from natural shadows. Yeah, Scoopy Joe says the hero prop is much more gold. Something a little darker, a little browner, that leans toward gold is what I expect to see right after watching the movie for 30 years. And I've got some screen captures from the movie that we'll look at here in a minute for comparison. So I think the detail looks good. It's definitely premium. If you're thinking about spending $150 on this, it's definitely premium. You're going to get a display piece that is, you're going to be proud to show off. That's going to be a conversation piece when folks come over. And it is definitively Stargate, right? A kind of techno-looking alien pyramid. This is Stargate top to bottom. It's got these pointy little raised reliefs on the top corners. That's screen accurate. I was getting screen caps yesterday. Let's take a look at them. Oof. Okay, let's see. Thank you guys for hanging out with me. If you've got any questions, put them in the chat. We can talk more about these models, or we can just talk general Stargate. I'm here for a little bit if you guys want to hang out. But let's look at these. Look at these pictures. Where did I put them? Have to actually know where they are. Okay. Okay, how's that? I always forget OBS makes me set up the audio again when I create a new scene. Okay, you guys should be able to hear me now. Well, let's get the music back. Okay, I think we're good. Now, you'll remember, if you think back to the movie, the pyramid ship appears in two different forms. The first is right when we see it come and scoop up Ra, and then later when it lands on top of the pyramid on Abydos, it looks like this. This is with the outer shell raised up, sort of flight mode. So it's got these bumpy things along the bottom. That's the technical definition, technical term, bumpy things. They're not present on our model, and that's because the model is not this, it's the inner pyramid. So how do I advance a slideshow? Use hotkeys. I don't have hotkeys set up. All right, we'll fake it. We're going to add automatic slides. Okay, this will run automatically now. So this is the model that we have, right? When the ship lands and these side panels open, they slide down like this. And so the model that we have for Master Replicas is not the outer flight mode, it's the inner pyramid. So yeah, it does have more of a gold, sandy, brown look. Man, now I can't get my slideshow to stop. Okay, let's go with a single image. Because I want to look more closely at the internal pyramid. Because that's really what we have here. We don't have the pyramid ship in flight. We have it after the walls have come down and it's opened up. Right, so here's your reference. This has the hieroglyphs all the way around. Yeah, so I mean the cutouts along the center they're certainly screen accurate, but again, they're darker on screen. I think lighting is everything. I think lighting is everything. Because those cutouts are there. But right, when they have direct light shining in them, they just look the same color as everything else. It's that light sandy color. Whereas on screen they look dark. So I would suggest if you're going to invest in this model, Also think about where you're going to put it and how you're going to light it. You might even want to buy a special little spotlight to have in the corner for it, because that's going to maximize how this thing looks on display. Scoopy Joe says, I'm definitely going to want to repaint mine. Yeah, if you've got the skills. I mean, my first impression of this is I wish it was a little more brown and a little more gold. But again, I got the bright lights on right now, so I'll turn them off and look at it. I'll shoot some B-roll under some different lighting and see how it looks. It's very impressive, right? The designer did a great job. I would say that the details, the hieroglyphs along the edge, are better than the movie. They're smaller and they're more detailed. Right, this shot from the movie, they're pretty big and chunky hieroglyphs here, right? Up until this midpoint, there's what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe 10. I guess there might be 10 here. Again, there's the underside. That is one solid cast piece. Looks great. It's very heavy. Ooh, 20 pounds. Okay, anything else on this pyramid that you guys want to see? I'm ready to move on and just do some Stargate chat for a few more minutes if you guys want to hang out with me. But any questions on the pyramid itself? Anything else you want to look at? Yeah, Liam, it makes sense that the bottom is hollow, of course, because it lands on the pyramid. So it needs space in there for the pyramid to sit. The pyramid is a landing platform. That's a good point. Raj Luthro, where would the bridge be on the pyramid ship? Oh, you're gonna make me lift it up again, aren't you? No, okay, let's move this. Oof. Okay. So there's a couple things we can see in the movie. One is the Death Gliders launch, the Udajits, as they call them in the movie, launch, I think from here. I think this is like a glider bay. Have to double check that shot. But the bridge would be up here. All right, we get that really cool shot in the feature where Jack and Daniel are being brought before Ra for the first time as the outer cover is sliding down. So you see the external shot of it coming down, and then you see the internal shot in Ra's throne room, where they're watching the windows open. So yeah, the throne room's right in there. Which presumably is the bridge. I thought this was really interesting. I never noticed this in the movie before, but when I was putting together the sarcophagus video that I did recently, I noticed that in the movie, all of Ra's control panels, right, which he's using for launching the ship at the end, they're at the sarcophagus. They're right in the back of the sarcophagus. So he's standing behind the sarcophagus, activating his Peltac control panels. So presumably that's all in the same spot, right? His throne room is his bridge, is what I'm assuming. Pac-Man, what's the price? I think it's $150. Let's go double check. We're gonna go over to masterreplicas.com. Stargate. So this is the first of what Master Replicas is calling their premium models for Stargate. Oh, it's $125. Even better. $125 US. Or let's see. We open this. Logged out. Should be able to get a UK price. I'm looking for the UK price and it's loading in US. So somebody tell us, what's the UK price? It's 12 inches across, 30 centimeters. Stands over 8 inches or 20 centimeters tall. And again, this is shipping in July, so you can still pre-order it. Uh, 119 pounds in the UK. Thank you, Anthony. Falcon 0822, can you lift it up and do one quick close-up again? You're joking, right? Watch the replay. No, I'll do it for you if you want to see it again. I'm gonna need a nap after the live stream. Did the tip survive shipping where it pierced the box? Yeah, the tip looks fine. No damage. So, I mean, this rock that this thing is made of is obviously stronger than styrofoam and stronger than cardboard. But yeah, here's my box. There's the styrofoam. And this very nice black premium box. Oof. This for 125 bucks. If I had paid for this and not gotten a review unit, I would be asking. Honestly, the pyramid is fine. I'd be asking for a new box top because I'm a collector, and this is a really nice box. No, for those of you who came in after we started unboxing this, it was packaged fine, but then they put the shipping label on the bottom of the box. So what I suspect is that DHL carried it, right, what they thought was face up, with the label facing up all through the shipping process. And so the point of the pyramid was actually face down in the box. So at some point it just had enough oomph to pierce styrofoam and pierce the box, but not the carton, the shipping container that it was inside of. The cardboard boxes didn't show any sign of damage. And then my corner got a little, you know, that's, I don't know, it's international shipping, it happens. But a big thanks to Master Replicas for sending this over for us to review. We're going to do a full review on the channel here at GateWorld in the coming weeks. And again, for those of you who've pre-ordered this guy, it's supposed to start shipping in July, so I imagine by the end of next month we're going to start to see folks have this out in the wild. Okay, one more look while I move it, and then we can talk about the state of Stargate. Oof. I like these little guys. You can see those figures in the movie. The close-ups on the inner pyramid. You can see those statue figures on the corners. Okay. Oh, and I gotta have this guy for my B-roll. We'll shoot the pyramid B-roll with Raw. All right, thanks everybody for hanging out. What else do you want to talk about? I saw another question up here from Raj. What do you think about reviving SG-1, SGA, maybe SGU in animation or anime form? Continue from where those series stopped and have it linked to a new continuation series or movies or both. That's interesting, right? Using animation to bridge the gap. I made the argument when I did the article and the video on my solution to Amazon's Stargate problem, right? The problem is they have all these old fans who need closure on stories that were left unfinished and don't want the universe to be rebooted. But then on the other hand, they got to make a product that's going to attract new viewers in the marketplace and not, right, turn people off because people feel like, well, I need to go back and, absorb 15 years worth of lore before I can understand what's going on. My solution was that they should do an anthology series, at least to start off with, not permanently, but just to start off with 1 or 2 seasons of something like a Stargate version of Black Mirror or The Outer Limits, so that they can have an hour, right, or 2 hours, do a 2-parter that wraps up Atlantis, right? Gets Atlantis back to the Pegasus Galaxy, defeat the Wraith, something like that. Figure out what happened to Destiny and the Destiny crew, get them rescued, complete Destiny's mission. Brad and Rob and Joe and Paul would need to be involved because those are their stories. Now, how do I feel about animation to bridge the gap between wrapping up those old stories and then starting something new? I'd be really hesitant for Stargate. I would be really hesitant for Stargate. And it's not because of the medium, right? It's not because of animation itself. Star Wars does stellar animation. The Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels are 2 of my favorite things in the Star Wars canon. Star Trek is getting better at it. I think Prodigy was excellent. It was aimed at a younger audience, obviously, but the storytelling and the characters were excellent. I'm proud to call it part of Star Trek canon. Something like that for Stargate is certainly possible, but it would need the right people doing it. People who are not just making a cartoon for kids as this side project like Stargate Infinity was 20 plus years ago. But somebody like Stargate's version of Dave Filoni, who knows the material, loves the material, has soaked in the material, and uses the medium for storytelling. I just finished watching Arcane on Netflix. Arcane is mind-blowing animation and storytelling. It's easily the best animated anything that I've seen in years. So it can be done, right? It's not the medium that would be holding it back necessarily. It's the creatives. It's who's doing it. What stories are they telling? If it's just, a cartoon with the cast of Atlantis back to voice their characters and give some closure, I would really worry about the quality. Then it would feel like the studio is throwing fans a bone, but is not actually willing to invest. Because those actors will come back. They're all still working. The Universe cast will come back. They're still working. They would love to do a revival. I've asked some of them personally, face to face, and without hesitation, they all say yes, we would do it. Of course we would do it. The experience was so great for them. The story was so meaningful for so many people, including the people who made it. So I would worry about why. If Amazon told us they were doing an animated conclusion of SGU, I would be really nervous about why they're doing it. Are they just cheaping out? Does that make sense? What do you guys think? Istill host wants me to bench press pyramids. No, thank you. I think you could do an animated series and something live action. Right, Clone Wars is so great because it's filling in the gaps between the movies, but we're still getting the movies. So if you do an animated Stargate series, while there is a live action flagship series in the works, or, in between seasons, yeah, you could do an animated anthology. Again, if it's mature animation with mature storytelling, and not Stargate Infinity Redux, and use it to go back and fill in some of the gaps and tell some stories, right? Tell the story of Destiny, what happened to the crew in stasis. Tell some stories of how we got to now. Okay, so let's say there's a live action show that's set in the here and now. Let's say the show launches in 2028, and so it's set in the present day. And then in between seasons, you have shorts or an animated series that goes back and fills in the gaps of what happened to the Stargate program over the course of those, 15, 20 years. How did we get to where we are in 2028 in the present day? That's great, right? Get David Hewlett back. In animation, you could do a younger McKay and tell a McKay story, and then have David come on the live action series, which hopefully is a continuation, and play himself in the present day. It could work for sure. But again, I would want it to be an animated series and also a flagship show. Less statifaction, I feel like they would make it more lower decks. I don't know, a Stargate lower decks? What do you guys think? Stargate lower decks. I'm a kind of old school Star Trek fan, so lower decks took a while to grow on me. I wasn't a fan at first. I became a fan. Stargate... I don't know. Am I an old stick in the mud? I want Stargate, a new Stargate project, to be serious and to take itself seriously. Not to be grim and dour, not to be, lacking in humor and lightheartedness, not to be lacking in Jack O'Neillisms. That's not what I mean. But I want its creators to take it seriously. A Stargate comedy show. I don't know. I really have to be sold on that. Yeah, Raj, anime would give it a serious look still while also having some humor. Money is an issue, so animation will save money. Yeah, animation is an issue, and whatever Amazon does, we have to be realistic about what it's spending on it. The Stargate franchise is not Star Trek. It's not Star Wars. It's not necessarily a cash cow, as much money as it made for MGM over the years. But I would be really nervous about something that looked like Amazon was cheaping out. Amazon has deep pockets. Amazon can turn it into a mega franchise if they do it right, if they take it seriously. I'd just be nervous about, right? An anime show could be really cool, but I'd be worried about them cheaping out. I'm losing my voice, you guys. What other questions do you have? What else do you want to talk about on a balmy Friday evening? It's really rainy here in the Northwest. You guys have any of these models? Any of the Master Replica models? How big is your collection? Again, if you're making me pick my favorites, in no particular order, my top 3 are going to be the F302, the Atlantis gate has cracked the top 3. Really looking forward to the Destiny gate, which is going to be shipping in October. Number three. I think it's this boy. I think it's Beliskner. Because I'm an old sucker for Asgard stuff. We believe that Master Replicas is going to do the O'Neill class Asgard warship. That has been communicated to me. It has not been formally announced, but they do want to do it. We're going to get other things that are not ships. I have not been sworn to secrecy that we are going to get a ZPM from Master Replicas. And what else? I'm hoping to get some pictures soon. I was hoping to get the Destiny pictures, the Destiny Stargate pictures, before they went up on the website for pre-order, and that went up this morning. But I was also hoping to get, I'm expecting some other photos of another item that Master Replicas is going to do that they haven't announced yet. So I'm going to hold that one because I'm expecting pictures here in the next few days, and we can hopefully do a big news story announcement on the website. Other things, again, watch Ben Robinson's interview with Dial the Gate. He talks about some of their future plans. I think Destiny is in the works, from what I gathered from that interview, before the year is out. That's my expectation. We're going to get the Destiny Stargate in October, and we should have pre-orders. I don't know if the model will be in our hands, but we should have pre-orders for Destiny, I hope, before the year is out. And that, right, if they do it right, if it's got a good weight and a good paint job, if they do it right, Destiny is going to be in my top 3, I think. But right now it's these 3. The 302, the Pegasus Gate, and the Beliskner are my favorite models so far. Yeah, and if you guys want me to see any messages in chat, why don't you at me, at GateWorld, so that I can see it easier. Scoopy Joe has the 302, the Death Glider, Prometheus, Daedalus, Hatak, and Milky Way Gate. So most of the line. That's great. Which one's your favorite? Prometheus is so ugly, and I love her dearly. I get that. I get that. Trev says the ZPM needs to be lit internally. This is a really cool idea. And if you've seen the Blue Bricks model, Blue Bricks has a Lego compatible, build it yourself ZPM, and they included a little light unit. So it does illuminate. It plugs into a USB-C port for power and illuminates from the inside. It looks really cool. I would love it if Master Replicas model also had some kind of, little internal rechargeable battery that you can just, a little secret hidden compartment with a USB-C charger. And then a switch where you could just flip it on. That was, of course, that's what they did for the originals, right? For the original props on the show, there was a hidden switch where you could just flip it and make the thing illuminate. Raj, with the Hatak, I've been confused about where the bridge is and where the front of the ship is when it flies at sublight and in hyperspace. Okay, let's talk ships here. Oh, I lost my Hatak. That's in my top 3. I put it on the wrong side of my desk. So it's the 302, it's the Pegasus Gate, and it's the Hatak, because this is so quintessentially Stargate. I do love the Beliskner, but this thing's a really nicely done model. I love the different pieces, right? You've got the pyramid in the middle, and then you've got the superstructure surrounding it. I have also dropped this thing more than one time, Fortunately, my office is carpeted, but I keep it up on a high shelf, and I bumped it off maybe a half a dozen times, and it's fine. Right, it hits this plastic superstructure, and it's holding together just great, at least on carpet. Where is the bridge? We see these things fly through space, through a hyperspace corridor, and then through normal space. And every once in a while, you get shots of them kind of turning a little bit as they go. I think there is no front of the ship. I think it can just fly whichever way you want. And because the little guy, the Peltac would be at or near the top. The Peltac is the bridge. And because they're looking at a view screen and not out a window, I think it doesn't matter which way they're pointed. Because they're just looking at a projection from external sensors, not actually out a window. Very cool. Liam asks, can we see that Naquita generator in the background? Oh yeah. This is my Naquita generator. This is 3D printed from Martin McLean, SGA Gate Builder on Twitter. And you can find his stuff on his new website at gatebuilder.tech, T-E-C-H. And yeah, it's got a little switch, and the battery hasn't died yet since he gave it to me. This doesn't have a charging port, so I guess I would have to take it apart to replace the battery. But yeah. This is how Martin and I met. He was a fan of GateWorld. He was doing his own 3D printing work. And he sent me a box full of pieces, right? So there was a bigger, not full scale, but a bigger Naquita generator. And he made one and kind of showed it off and sent me pictures. And I said, that looks awesome. And he said, I'd love to send you one. And he sent me all the pieces with instructions for, like, you know, sanding them down and gluing them together. And I said, cool. And I put it on a shelf because I'm not a project guy. I'm not a craft guy. So I still have it. I still have the box with all the pieces. And I think he figured it out. Martin figured it out pretty quickly that I wasn't going to put it together. So the next one he did for me, he put together and gave to me. And it's really fantastic. I love it. He's made other versions with a USB-C connector and a battery power bank in it. So you can use your Naquita reactor to charge your mobile phone. I also have back here which you guys can't see on the videos. I have a couple of replicator blocks. Those are always sitting back there threatening you. This one you can see says GateCon 2022. This is a little 3D print that was a gift for attendees at GateCon. And this one, a little more realistic looking. I believe it's painted and then weathered, right? So it looks scuffed up, beat up, damaged, and more of a true replicator silver. I want to say I got this from Stargate Props, SG-1 Props. I'm not sure. I think I got this from Dean Newberry at SG-1 Props. But yeah, they're back here always threatening to form a replicator and kill me. And then these are the Stargate dice. These were done as a stretch goal by Wyvern, who did the official Stargate role-playing game. So I have the full set of Stargate dice, which are metal, very heavy. My kids were very interested in them when they showed up, and I eventually had to basically confiscate them and forbid them from using them for playing because they're going to beat the hell out of the tabletop. So we got plastic dice. Do you also have a Mark II Naquita generator? This is the only one I have, so you tell me. What does a Mark II look like? This is a Mark II, isn't it? Because the first one would have been, right, the first Naquita generator that we saw the SGC use, that they built in episodes like New Ground in season 3. That was the one that was a giant kind of rough assembled, came in a big suitcase. That would have been a Mark 1. Does the Naquita cradle on the top move? You mean the handle on the generator? No, this doesn't move. So yeah, you'll know on the show, you see Sam do this a lot, as the handle lifts and turns to, I guess, to activate the generator, to turn it on and off. No, this doesn't move. But Martin also made a stand for it that looks really cool. Looks SGC. And Martin also made me this, which you can't see on camera. It's always on the shelf. Who knows what this is? Let me turn it on. Who can tell me what episode? What if I do this? Now do you know what episode? The Mark II generator was used on SGA. I guess I don't know the difference if the props physically look different. Scoopy Joe says the Mark III looks like a stereo. You guys are going to have to show me. We're going to have to dig out pictures of these. Yeah, the one in the suitcase was a prototype, and they called it a Naquita reactor, right? On the show, they never referred to it as a generator in that season 3 form. That's the Mimic device from the Mimetic aliens in Foothold. Comes back up in season 6 in Smoke and Mirrors, when the NID used it to frame Jack O'Neill for murder. That's another Martin SGA Gate Builder special. No, not McKay's shield. You'll know the little green ancient personal shield that McKay finds in Atlantis season 1 in Hide and Seek. That one's green. It has kind of straight edges. It's green, and so the cast started referring to it as the turtle brooch. Well, it looks like a big glowing green turtle shell. The turtle brooch. Okay, anything else you guys want to do tonight? We're just past the 2-hour mark. I am having a lot of fun. Again, my family has gone camping, so nobody's cracking the whip to get me off the stream. If you guys have a little bit more you want to talk about, until my voice is completely gone, we can talk about what I've been doing on GateWorld lately. Otherwise, thank you for hanging out. I want to do these more frequently. It's a lot of work to, make a plan and book a guest and come up with a topic, especially when there's no new Stargate to talk about. I want to do a video version of the GateWorld podcast someday in the future, maybe after a Stargate announcement has come. We'll feel like we have more to talk about on a weekly or bi-weekly basis. But in the meantime, Dial the Gate. David and his team do so much work planning and doing interviews week in and week out. I just wanted to do a casual hangout. So this is a lot of fun. As long as we got something to do and you guys come and want to talk to me, I'm up for doing this on the regular. If you guys just want to have a hangout live stream and talk about Stargate. So let me know. Lay Satisfaction, favorite episode for SG-1. Okay, we can go there. My favorite episode. For a long time, it was the Fifth Race. Right, because I'm a mythology guy. I love all the lore and all the connective tissue, the history, the species. So the Ancient Alliance and the Asgard, all that stuff. The Fifth Race for years and years was my favorite, but today I would say it's Lost City. If you let me take a two-parter, Lost City, the finale for season 7, with the discovery of the ancient outpost in Antarctica, the battle with Anubis, introduction of Elizabeth Weir, Jack O'Neill again sticks his head into the grabby thing and loses his marbles with the ancient knowledge. I think both of those are perfect episodes. They're just SG-1 at its best. The team is, doing its thing, is working together. Everybody has their part to play. There's humor, there's adventure, there's action, there's betrayal, and it's heart. Those are my favorites. Citizen Joe, what's the poster behind this poster right here? It's a poster. It's a Stargate Universe poster. I don't know what to say about it. I got a set of these on Displate. So they're like magnetic posters. They come in different sizes with different designs, and fans and users can submit their own designs to be sold. So I don't even know if any of these are licensed, but you'll see them rotate in my videos. I've got this one, which is Stargate Universe. I think it's from like a Portuguese DVD release or something like that, which is why it says Segunda Temporada at the top. It's, I believe, season 2. But that's Matthew Scott on the Destiny. And then I have this one. Right, it kind of looks like Stargate Origins art. The teaser poster that they released for Stargate Origins, but it's not quite that. I thought that looked cool. So I usually, when I use the orange lights like I have going right now, you'll usually see this one on the wall. And then I have a third one. I should buy some more. I've been rotating through these 3 for years. Snoopy Joe says, Scoopy Joe, I'm a sucker for time loop stories. Yeah, me too. Anything time travel, I'm in. You've got me. I don't even care. 1969, Stargate Continuum, 2010. I love all the time loop and time travel stories. Window of Opportunity, of course. All the time loop and time travel stories that Stargate does are fantastic. This one, you might recognize this art from the feature film. Looks very much like, it's like a stylized version of one of the DVD covers for the Stargate movie. I might actually have the DVD. Let's see. No. I have this one, which is close. This is like the lenticular movie. So it's got the 4 team members looking at the pyramid. Based on the same original piece of art, I assume. This one fell off the top shelf and hit me on the foot. Today, I was not happy. All right. What's going on? Yeah, tell me what your favorite episodes are too. Joe Citizen, Dial the Gate. Have you watched Infinity yet? You mean Stargate Infinity? The animated series? I'll be honest with you. Okay, Infinity came out in like 2001. It was during season 6 of SG-1, I think. And I got up on, it was on at like 7 a.m. in the morning on Saturdays, and I got up as a faithful, dutiful Stargate fan and watched the first few weeks and valued my sleep more than I valued the experience. And I own them in multiple formats, but I've never watched the whole show. Maybe I shouldn't admit that, as the guy who runs the Stargate site. I've seen 6 or 8 of them, but no, I've never watched the whole show. Raj asks, what have you been doing on GateWorld lately? It would be great to see you join David during one of his watch party live streams. Yeah. He does the watch party with the gals on Wormhole Extremists. I have not gotten an invitation to that show. They don't need me on there. The 3 of them do great. But I am doing the Suns and Shadows live stream here next week. I did one a couple of months ago. This is a group of guys who are watching through Stargate from the beginning, and they cover 2 episodes a week. And I'm going to be back on next week, next Thursday night at 8 p.m., 8:15, I think, Pacific time, on Suns and Shadows on YouTube. And we're going to talk about they're up to the end of season 2. So I think I need to rewatch 1969 and Out of Mind, I think is what we're talking about next week. Check them out. Let's see. And what am I doing with GateWorld? Let's go back here. I want to show you guys 1 or 2 things. Yeah. Okay. Here's GateWorld. Hopefully you've been there. Hopefully you're familiar. I just published this feature article, which is Brad Wright's recent comments on Amazon's Stargate Revival. But you know what I've been spending a lot of my time on is redoing the site so that it is more mobile friendly. So we are switching to a new WordPress template, but I'm making it look as close as I can to the current site. But the back end is so much better. So I've been spending a ton of time on this. Now it looks, or the news stories, the headlines that are on here right now look really old because I'm working with an old copy of the database. This content was copied over to our development site last June, which is why these headlines are so old. But this is new. The bottom of the web page has been revamped, calling out our most recent interviews, calling out our most recent YouTube videos. YouTube in the sidebar. So it's a lot of kind of fixing things, making them more modern, more streamlined, cleaner. I've broken out the credits so that we now have a credits section instead of just mashing them into a paragraph. There's a credits section. A lot of behind the scenes repair work, right? Things on the website that just haven't worked right. The website is 26 years old. And there are things that just haven't worked quite right, or at least not in the way that I want them to work, not for a while. So we're getting ready to launch this, but really the big thing is mobile. This is mobile friendly. Our current mobile site is slapped together using a plugin that half the time doesn't work for some people. So we're getting rid of that. We're integrating it all into one presentation with a mobile first design that I'm really pleased with. It's almost done, but you know what makes it a pain is the main site runs on WordPress. But the Omnipedia runs on MediaWiki, which is the same thing that runs Wikipedia. The gallery, these links aren't working because I'm on the dev site. The Stargate Gallery runs on Coppermine, which is a very old, very kludgy piece of software. And then the forum runs on vBulletin. So we have WordPress, and then I have 3 other pieces of software that I have to configure to look like the new site on desktop and on mobile. And it's a massive pain. I'm most of the way done, so hopefully here before not too much longer I'll get to roll this out. That's my excuse for why I haven't been making as much content lately, for why I haven't kept up with my goal of a weekly video, is because that's just a time suck. I get into one of those projects like trying to fix the gallery, and it just takes days and days and days off my life. But yeah, that's coming soon. In addition to content, right? I'm still working on videos, still working on articles. We've got other stuff coming up soon. I'm going to review the Puddle Jumper. That's all recorded. I shot all the B-roll. I just have to edit that review. The SG-1 Season 5 in 10 minutes. Rapid recap is coming. That's recorded and edited, and I just need to layer in all the clips. That's the fun part. Going back through 22 episodes and finding the right clips to layer in to that rapid fire video. Those are so much fun. They take a lot of work, but they're a lot of fun. I do wish I could do them faster because, right, we got 17 seasons to get through, and then I want to take all of SG-1 and combine it into a supercut video. And then Atlantis and Universe make supercuts. But they take a while. I wish I was faster than every other month because of the number that we have to get through. But they're fun to do. If you guys have ideas for videos too, hey, bring them along. Bring them along to a Friday live stream and let's talk about your ideas. Okay, what else is going on here? Raj, what are your least favorite episodes and why? Okay, you're going to get me into trouble talking about my least favorite episodes. I have to think about this. Every fan has episodes of their favorite show, right? A show they love, with a cast and crew they love, where you feel like the episode just didn't land. They tried for something and it didn't quite work, or it didn't work for you. So let's see. For SG-1, I don't mind clip shows, to be honest, because I think Stargate does clip shows really well. They make them matter. They make them meaningful to the plot. The first one that I always go to is Sight Unseen. That's in season 6 with the invisible bugs. The team touches a piece of ancient technology and suddenly they can see these creatures, extra-dimensional creatures that live all around us. And we got to go, out into Colorado and chase down a gas station attendant who's freaking out. That one doesn't do it for me. Yeah, Scooby Joe, easy out, Emancipation. Emancipation, very early on in the show, very finding our footing, finding a voice for the characters. I understand the intention behind it. Catherine Powers wanted to write an episode that was very Sam Carter centric, very sort of in favor of her empowerment as a character. I get the intention, don't think it worked. But it's not my least favorite episode. Okay, Atlantis. My least favorite... I think my least favorite episodes of Atlantis probably come back to back. I am not a big fan of Season 2's The Tower and Critical Mass. And I know that might be a weird thing to say because a lot of fans love Critical Mass. That's the crossover with some SG-1, not SG-1, but some SG-1 characters. Landry's in it, Walter's in it, where there's a Gould on Atlantis, right? There's a Gould spy who has infiltrated Atlantis and turns out it's Caldwell. I don't know if I could tell you what... There's nothing really bad about it. I love Rachel's song. When Rachel does Beyond the Night, really beautiful. The stuff with Sharon, her grandmother figure, is lovely. I'm a big fan of Mitch Pileggi, who plays Colonel Caldwell. So I can't exactly tell you why I don't like the episode, but it's... I guess the Tower is worse for me. I'd put that before the Tower. Which again is hard for me to not like, because it's another Atlantis. It's another ancient city ship, and it has one of my all-time favorite television actors in it guest starring, which is Peter Woodward, who plays the technomage Galen on Babylon 5 Crusade. He's the big guest star. I don't know, it's just kind of goofy. The Tower is scenery-chewing silly. Right, with the girls who were, hot for Shepard and squeezing his leg under the table, and I can't get into the sense of humor in that one. I don't know, what about you guys? And Universe. I mean, there's only 40 episodes and it's one big story, so it's kind of hard to pick out 60 minutes of it and say that it's not clicking. Season 1's life was a low point for a lot of people, and me too. And again, not because there's anything wrong with the episode itself, so much as because of where it fell in the story. We had 10 episodes before that big break, and I think they needed to get to the aliens faster. We got space in episode 11 with the introduction of the blue aliens, and the story got really interesting really fast. That should have been episode 10 before the break, and in fact it was scheduled to be episode 10 before the break. Some of you know this story. They had an episode earlier in the season called Darkness that Peter DeLuise was directing, and they were kind of working, fleshing it out as they were shooting it, and they ended up shooting a bunch of stuff and decided in the course of production that it would be better to let this episode breathe as a two-parter. And so Darkness became Darkness and Light. And that pushed space into the back half of the season. And my opinion is if space had aired as the mid-season finale, the show would have felt a lot better. The story would have felt more cohesive. Maybe more people would have come back after the break. It would not have shed as many viewers. But so of those first 10, we only have 10 hours. We're trying to establish these characters, establish their peril. How are they going to live? How are they going to survive? How are they going to find drinking water? Life was just kind of not a day in the life episode, but it was people were grappling with the loss of being cut off from Earth and cut off from their loved ones, while at the same time they had the communication stones to go back and visit their loved ones, and in some cases see how their loved ones were moving on without them. And it was, again, as a piece of character drama for these characters, it's perfectly serviceable. But for where it falls in the SGU story, I wish that we didn't need to spend an entire week where that was all we got, was this sort of grappling with the angst of longing for home. Again, it's an important part of SGU's story, but that's the low point for me. Have you thought about live streaming on Twitch, Kick, Facebook, etc.? Just in passing. We'll try it here on YouTube for a few weeks, and then you guys tell me what you think. Could we find an audience there? Is it worth streaming to multiple places at once? Can we reach Stargate fans in a way that we're not getting them here? I'm kind of open for anything as long as you can teach this old dog some new tricks and I can learn how to do it. Liam Sorry, you're talking about, episode with guys that don't speak, where they break that mushroom thing. Name that episode. Oh, I know, it's season 2. Right, it's One False Step in season 2. We could do this. We could do a Stargate trivia live stream. And you guys ask me questions, or I'll ask you questions and see who in the chat can answer hard trivia questions first. That'd be fun. Another one that I skip, this is Pac-Man D3. Another one that I skip and people love, I think, is Irresistible with Richard Kind. Okay, let's talk about Lucius Lavin. Do people love this episode? Are there people who love it? Because I'm not one of them. Irresistible, I wanted to love because it's Richard Kind, and I'm a fan of his work. He's in the original Stargate feature film, of course, as a very different character. And I want to love it because I saw some of it filmed, right? David and I used to visit the set every year to do interviews. And we got to watch whatever they were filming that week. We got to watch them shoot it a little bit. And it was Irresistible for season 3. So we got to watch the scene at the beginning in the teaser where they first meet Lucius, right? The team is off-world. They're in the village. You know, they meet these beautiful women, all the wives of Lucius. And then he comes walking towards them, you know, jubilant, boisterous, says hello. We watched that scene film. Yeah, for all the reasons that you probably have in mind, Pac-Man, I don't care for the final episode. It's, again, I get what they're going for, but the silliness, the dark undertones of the silliness when he's drugging people to love him, in many cases literally, the silliness of it, I think, wears thin for me. And I think it's also very predictable. You have Shepard sneezing at the beginning of the episode because he's got a cold, and you kind of like, I've seen enough television to know this is going to be the solution to the problem this week, is that he has a cold. Yeah, in the episode where he comes back... Okay, so Lucius comes back in Irresponsible in Season 3, where he's wearing the turtle brooch. He's wearing the ancient personal shield. I think Lucius is better used there. I like Lucius better in that episode. But it's another episode I don't like. Mainly because they brought Kolya back, right? Robert Davi. They brought Kolya back and they put him in this tense situation in this village with the Atlantis team and with Lucius. And it's like 2/3 of the story are there. It all kind of works. Lucius tricking these people into thinking he's a superhero, and then he has to deal with a real villain. And I don't know, maybe it's just the ending for me. Kolya is killed off in such an unceremonious way that I thought was unbefitting of his character, with this sort of just impromptu showdown at the OK Corral that lasts for 30 seconds. And they're firing their weapons while they're surrounded by civilians? Yeah, I think Kolya deserved better. Lucius, that's a better Lucius episode. But I'm glad they didn't bring him back again. Brad said that they were introducing Lucius as Stargate's Harcourt Fenton Mudd, which, if you're a fan of classic Trek, you know exactly the vibe they're going for with that character. And they succeeded. That's the vibe that the character has. It's just not a vibe I want to see very much. So I'm happy that he did 2 episodes and didn't come back. Scoopy Joe, what's the SGU episode that ends with the Julian Plenty song, Only If You Run? Only If You Run. I know what you're talking about. I know the song. I know it's used in one of the montages. What episode is that in? You're probably going to stump me on this one. If this is a trivia question and you know the answer, you probably stumped me. I think it's used in the montage where Lieutenant Scott is making people exercise, right? Eli and a bunch of other civilians on the ship, he's leading them, right, running through the corridors as part of a daily training regiment. I think that closing montage is them running. And that's in... Is it in Life? Yeah, I think something in the first half of season 1. I want to say it's Life. Or something close to it. I don't know. Pac-Man says the episode is Sabotage. Okay, second half of the season. Good, good. Okay, what else, guys? Season 1 of SGU was finding its feet, that's for sure. Season 2 was the best overall of the entire franchise, says Anthony Rowling. Season 3 would have been phenomenal. I agree. I don't know about best of the franchise. I'm a huge SG-1 fan, but Season 2 was cooking. Season 2 was cooking, and Season 3 would have been. This show was finding itself. It had, by Season 2, I think, it had found itself, it had found its voice, it had started to bring some of the humor of Stargate back. The characters were more comfortable with each other, which I think was huge. It was clearly a better show. Clearly going where it was to find its full self. Season 3 would have only continued that. And you know, I was really kind of pleased / relieved to hear Brad Wright's comments a couple of weeks ago at FedCon. He appeared on stage at FedCon 33 in Germany. That's the article on the GateWorld front page right now, is with that. And there's a clip, there's a video embedded in that news story of his whole stage panel. If you want to watch the whole thing, it's 30-40 minutes. I just pulled out all the quotes where he was talking about what Amazon's going to do in the future, but he also, somebody asked him a question about SGU. What would season 3 have been like? And I was content. I was satisfied to hear Brad acknowledge that he thought that the pace for season 1 was a little slow, that they started too slow. I mean, the show's been off the air for, 14 years now. And that's, I mean, it's clearly, as far as I'm concerned, it's clearly the case. Was they had 40 episodes out of the gate. And so they took the time to tell this, to unravel the spool and tell the story at a certain pace. And the pace just was not sufficient for the audience. I was pleased to hear him sort of acknowledge in retrospect that was not the best way to start the show. Because, I mean, think if you compress, not just move space to the end of the first half of the season, but if you compress the first half into 5 or 6 episodes, and then you compress the second half, and maybe the Lucian Alliance is invading the ship by episode 12 or 13, and, you know, the pace is just that much faster, the show would have found a lot more love. Lyndon Blandon, your dad did stunts on Stargate. That's cool. Every once in a while, I'll get comments on YouTube from somebody who worked on the show, or who has a family member who worked on the show. It's very cool that family is still out there, still paying attention to Stargate content. All right, you guys, I'm wearing out. My voice is clearly wearing out. So let's wrap this up. Thank you. This was an experiment for me to just sit on a live stream by myself and you know, goof off with my toys and unbox this. You want to see it one more time? Oh. We took a close look at this baby. Again, this is up for pre-order now at Master Replicas. Thanks to Master Replicas for sending this along for us to take a look at. We're going to do a review here on the channel in the next few weeks. Oh! I could use it to kill somebody, but I'm not strong enough to lift it over my head. I would faint. So yeah, this was an experiment for me to just sit on here with no guest and no particular agenda and just hang out with you guys. And I had a lot of fun doing it. I want to do it more if you want to do it. If you want to show up and just chat, bring questions, bring trivia, we can figure out how often you want to do this. I'm thinking Fridays work well for me, probably during the afternoon Pacific time, which is going to be like, late afternoon, early evening Eastern. It's going to be evening into night hours in Europe and the UK. Friday night, I'll do these. I don't know how often you guys want to do these. Maybe every other week to start is what I was thinking. If we do these once or twice a month, as long as folks keep showing up, then I'll do them because I think they're a lot of fun. So thank you again for being here. Like, comment, and subscribe, all the YouTube things. Thank you to our members. Thank you to Trev and our other members. Istilos, other members who are here in the chat, who were here earlier. We really appreciate you guys supporting the channel, supporting the work that I'm doing to try and get Stargate content out there. Yeah, thank you. That's all I can say. Thank you. Be on the lookout for the next one. Go watch the Bulliskner video. This one just went up this morning. The model reviews, I like doing them, but they take more time than the views that they get. These don't get great views, so please go watch it, like it, share it, etc. Really helps the channel. So that's it for me. I'm gonna go see what's going on a Friday night, and you guys all be well and take care of yourself, and I hope to see you in the next one.